Like we're live.
All right, 6 p.m. We'll call this regular village board meeting to order. Would you all please join me in a moment of silence? I pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, would you take the roll?
Trustee Gerber. Present. Trustee Mann. Trustee Mao. Yes. Trustee Detmers.
Here.
Trustee Charo.
Present.
Trustee Churchill.
Here.
Village President Kinsey.
Present. Public announcements this evening.
None were emailed to me.
Okay, Mr. Morgan.
This Friday is the cutoff to get memorial brick applications in, so we'll have enough time to get them engraved and then get them engraved bricklayer to get them mounted by Memorial Day, hopefully this year. How much are those left? Those are $50 a piece.
Thanks, sir. Any others? I'd like to take a moment to announce the Government Finance Officers Association has again awarded the Village of Chatham its Distinguished Budget Presentation Award for the fiscal year 21 budget. The award represents a significant achievement by the entity. It reflects the commitment of the governing body and staff to meeting the highest principles of governmental budgeting. In order to receive the budget award, the entity had to satisfy nationally recognized guidelines for effective budget presentation, including how well the budget serves as a policy document, a financial plan, an operations guide, and communications device. And specifically on that fourth one is the communications device. The review committee noted that our budget fell into an outstanding category in there. The budget must be rated as proficient in all four of those categories and in 14 other mandatory criteria within those categories to receive the awards. So the efforts of all of our departments and department leaders, I think, are reflected in this award. Their comprehensive and collaborative effort drives our annual budget, and certainly want to commend the efforts of Sherry Deerking, Kayla Dierks, and Jill Butler for the extraordinary effort of compiling the budget report and earning this high honor for the second year in a row. So congratulations on all that work involved there. Any public comments on agenda topics? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to put the consent agenda on the table. Trustee Miles made a motion to a second.
Second.
Second by Trustee Charo. Any discussion regarding the warrants or the minutes?
I saw there was a $24,000 charge for National Tree Care, and that was for the cleaning out of trees. Did we ever get I know we were going to ask them where they did their work to justify those things. Did we ever do that?
Yeah, that was the line in Birch Grove.
Okay.
Shane bids all those out. So those bids were all put out earlier in the year. They were all accepted. In there, it said which areas needed to be done. So,
Okay. But I think what Trustee Gerger was asking is, I thought in one of our discussions is we would get like receipts or reports of what was removed when they removed it from there. So we know, when we had the contract through the end of 2020.
what?
How much was removed from out there?
Out
How
where?
much from the branch pile?
I don't have a contract with them.
Through the end of 2020.
That was for the line clearance.
Yeah, this was for the line.
I know it was, but I'm referring to for the line plans. Do they give you how much that they removed or anything?
They give us everybody gives us a bid prior to that, for the total line clearance of that area.
All right. Okay.
Additional? Madam Clerk, would you take a roll?
Trustee Gerber.
Yes.
Trustee Mao.
Yes.
Trustee Detmers.
Yes.
Trustee Charo.
Yes.
Trustee Churchill.
Yes.
And the letter of credit stay at old business, Pat? Yes?
I'm sorry?
The letter of credit remain at old business?
Yeah.
New business.
It hasn't got out there yet.
Item 1 is an ordinance approving the release of executive session minutes. Can I have a motion, please?
Make it.
Trustee Detmers made a motion.
Second.
Second by Trustee Charo. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Item 2 is an ordinance approving a franchise fee for broadband services. Can I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Miles made a motion. Second.
Second.
Second by Trustee Charo. This is the extension of the franchise fee to I3 Broadband as they move through town. Any further discussion or questions?
This franchise fee just ties to the cable portion and telephone portion, correct? Not the internet portion?
I think it's just cable. Is that how that's
It's just one.
Cable.
Just
cable?
Yeah, in section 2, it says the cable television ordinance.
So it would match what we have with Comcast. Correct. So if I just, I know there was lots of discussion about it on Facebook, of how it was going to be put forth and who charges it. It's really just for people that are using our utility right away, correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
And that every municipality does this. Is it a flat fee or is it per customer fee?
5% of the
5% fee, and all the providers currently in those are under franchise agreements which impose this fee. This is not a common fee moving forward.
And then if you just get internet, like they said, for $49.99, your bill will just be $49.99 because it's not cable. That's not big, right?
correct.
Is that correct? That's my understanding.
All right. Hopefully that clarifies it for people that are asking.
Yeah, if you're not a customer, it doesn't show up. Okay, Madam Clerk.
Trustee Gerger?
Yes.
Trustee Mao?
Yes.
Trustee Detmers?
Present.
Trustee Charo?
Yes.
Trustee Churchill?
Yes.
Any public comments regarding village business in general? Hearing none, the scheduled meetings, the Planning Commission will meet at 5:30 on April 19th, which is a change from the list. Village Board, 6 p.m., April 27th. Public Properties and Recreation Committee, May 10th. Village Board, 6 p.m., May 11th, followed by the Committee of the Whole at 6:15 or thereafter. The Utility Oversight Subcommittee, 6 p.m., June 14th. It would take a motion to recess the board meeting, and we'll reconvene at the end of the Committee of the Whole for executive session.
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Charles made a motion of second.
I'll second.
Second by Trustee Detmers. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting stands adjourned.
Suspended.
Suspended. Meetings. I stand corrected as we stand suspended. Recessed. Paused. You have 7 minutes to continue to come up with words that mean the same as suspended. Continue.
Suspend.
Just like misunderstand.
If they provided us some kind of report, this is how much we picked up, because we had talked about, how much they picked up, so we know that something's being done. So, because we were paying them a flat fee each month.
Right.
So they could have, how do we know that they're picking up anything?
Well, like in January, February, they probably didn't pick up anything.
Well, they're not under a new contract now.
Correct,
I meant
but
through-
even back then,
Yeah.
like in January, February, nobody puts branches down there, so there was nothing to pick up. So they got free ride those months. But then when April and May and June roll around and everybody's trimming their trees, they're cleaning up way more than their 12th share.
Right.
So what I asked is, when it was in its worst, what would it cost to clean the whole thing up? And then for the whole year, and they come up with a number. Now, we could put that out for bid, but I think what we plan on doing now is, like once every 3 months or 4 months, we'll just put it out for bid for someone to come in, pick up everything that we got and haul it off. The bad thing is if you're in town tomorrow or something, I'd like to drive you down there and take a look at it, because we should see all the stuff that people have dropped off in the back. Trees this big around and stuff.
Yeah,
now,
we-
that didn't come from somebody's house or somebody's pickup truck.
No.
But We don't have anybody down there. You know, the water guys are out doing the water stuff, the street guys are out doing the street stuff, and the electric guys are doing that. So you might catch a person going in and out and stuff like that, but we don't have anybody down there to man a gate or watch or anything like that. And the cameras are all aimed for here. But if they come in here across the farm fields and go around the backside, there's no cameras back there. There's no place to put cameras up back there. And that's what Shane said the other day. Looked like somebody had drove in back across the farm field. Dropped the stuff. So they are intentionally trying to violate our things. You can't.
I don't care. I was there before, but I really don't. I don't know how.
Other than trying to fence every single piece of property.
It feels like we should.
But I know what they would do then. They pull up next to the fence and leave it on the
Yeah,
outside.
right. I think
Build a wall and
Brett's done, Paul's done, Dave's done. I think we all are.
wants to move the dump pile.
I don't know about now,
The
but
water tower.
he probably will never do it.
By the,
I don't know.
well, he goes,
I don't know about Meredith. I haven't asked her.
Yeah, but it would look terrible.
Yeah, no, that would.
Yeah, I always like being right. You started off on the voting, and I'd rather not have the seat.
I get the concept, but
I am at my wit's end trying to figure out what to do.
was the main problem.
Right. No, I know. I think
I'm still stuck in it.
there are some times where I come and I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, honestly, I don't know how I'm going to vote. I kind of rely on our conversations to formalize my opinion or whatever, finalize my opinion. But
A professional,
yeah, I think,
whether it was private.
I don't know.
I don't really care who drops things. I don't have the facilities over the people.
About which one?
Fly off.
Which one?
But if
This one?
the green post, pay somebody to keep it cleaned up. That's really,
It might not happen. Maybe. That's what I've heard. That's the last thing I heard.
20,000.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's probably the most.
Yeah.
I think we would still have a problem if we
Yeah.
no dropping.
So we're just going to keep our seats the way they are. I like my.
I don't know. I might be over there, depending if we get back. Because again, I don't want to be in the hot seat either.
But even
I don't really care either.
they're not.
I also don't like that seat because it's like
Problem is,
if I'm wearing a dress.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. I don't wear those often.
this one is so they have to spend all the time bringing baby down there.
Have the cops or what?
Yeah, we have. But that sounds like it still doesn't stop.
Yeah.
So they have to whip this go and then he can
Yeah.
slip in there and slip out.
We can catch them if they do it.
Yeah.
We can catch them if they do it at the.
I think that's fair, honestly. Or you do it by seniority. That's it. But
Yeah, let's run out there.
yeah.
I'm fine with that.
I like that. I'll talk to Holden.
I mean, that's what it would end up being.
It's just inside the cage as soon as you pull in and turn
Yeah.
If she takes
I remember,
Brian's not.
which that
But,
makes sense.
but we've got to get it. If we build the pond and get that drainage problem all taken care of, then we can use that. Right now,
And I was asking,
No, that's
people would sink in there. There's geese there.
and then I want to talk to Thunder.
okay.
Because qualifications I found are pretty
I didn't think about that. It might not be fair.
I'm surprised by that.
But also, a bachelor's degree, you pay more than these guys.
So I haven't gotten.
Because I've seen
Nobody has that.
list numbers,
You make way more than anybody else.
our size make anything. Like Jacksonville, others, I mean, Comptonville, all Jacksonville, comparable to us. They're not our same size.
Correct. Not going.
Well,
No.
well, that's,
Oh, I could over there.
Yeah.
but I'm just saying.
Show up early and move the name tags around. How does this keep happening? I don't know.
Well, next meeting I'll be here an hour.
You're being what?
I'll be here an hour early. Yeah,
Punishment?
45 minutes.
Okay.
Just camp out.
And the fire guy, now they have.
I'll make sure nobody's tags are moved.
Why are you having to come early?
Go over the survey.
Oh.
We had one come in, and we'll go over that. It's down there.
Oh. Like an after the fact or like a interesting.
You want this, Brett?
Missed. It was postmarked February 23rd, I believe. Maybe a couple days
Roll
later.
call.
Interesting.
Trustee Berger,
Present.
Trustee Mao.
Yes.
Trustee Detmers.
Here.
Trustee Charo.
Present.
Trustee Churchill.
Here. I'm going to make a motion to make Trustee Churchill the chair. If I could get a second.
But you don't have to chair.
Today's meeting or
Of today's meeting.
okay. I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No. Ayes have it. Trustee Churchill.
All right. Next order of business, do we have any public comments on agenda topics? None.
No emails, huh?
Anyone here? Any public comments? All right. Seeing none? Do I have a motion for the consent agenda?
I move.
Second.
So moved by Trustee Detmers, second by Trustee Charo. Any comments or questions on the consent agenda?
They look good.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. No business? New business, CMT engineering updates.
Okay, a couple of items here tonight. First one, I've been working with the village on the flushing program that's moving along. You can see the results on the village's website. So there's an interactive map on that you can see the progress in terms of what areas are completed and what areas are yet to come. And that's moving along. We're going to do section 1 here this spring, and that will conclude the flushing for this season. We'll work with the water department to see if they want to tackle something else in the fall to do 2 or 3. But that's keeping us on kind of our 3-year rotation of doing one segment every year and kind of getting back onto that pattern. The other item that we're working on with the water department is the perennial main breaks here on Route 4. We're exploring some different treatments for that water main, old cast iron water main that keeps breaking, looking at options, anything ranging from moving all the taps, commercial taps, over to the west side of the roadway, or doing a directional bore of the new line parallel to the existing line, to move taps over to a more reliable system. A couple of things looking at that, in terms of price differences, the main hurdle is all the permitting and work in the roadway in terms of working with IDOT. So trying to keep this economical and not do a whole bunch of work that benefits more IDOT than the village of Chatham. So while just moving taps over to the opposite side of the road seems the easiest, it's most impact on Route 4. Therefore, you have a lot of traffic control, a lot of pavement patching, and so forth. So that's why we've gone back and we're looking at doing a directional bore line along the east side of the roadway parallel to the existing main, so we can stay mostly out of the right-of-way and mostly out of the roadway and limit the number of impacts that we have. Therefore, it reduces traffic control, reduces pavement patching, and so forth. So, we'll see that here coming forward.
Do we know what kind of costs? Because Dustin said you guys were working on the cost.
Working on costs, just, I'm going to give you an outrageous number. So the first one that, our in-house water guys came up with was $750,000 to do it conventionally. And at that point I said, absolutely not. So that's why we're looking at other alternatives to make this more feasible. That's, what seems to be the simplest isn't the cheapest. So that's why we're looking at alternate methods on that and trying to make this more equitable for the village, as opposed to putting in a bunch of labor and work and temporary traffic control for IDOT. So yes, we are working with Dustin and trying to put a more reasonable number, more reasonable scope to that work. So I want to keep that moving forward.
Is this the area where it just broke and then we dug it all up and put it all back?
Yes. Yes. So this is the one that's continuing to break, 2, 3, 4 times a year. And, of course it's at night and usually in the middle of winter, but, it's always fun to stand waist deep in a puddle of water and fix water main in January. So,
It's 6-inch runs from roughly the smoke shop all the way down to Birch Grove subdivision, and then runs into it, comes back across the road, goes underneath the 10 and comes into it.
so there's a 10-inch main on the opposite side of the road,
West side.
on the west side of the road. So the, conventional thought is we'll just move the taps over there. Well, then you're working on both sides of the road, you're patching both sides of the road, you're impacting traffic on both sides of the road, and it just drags it out that much longer. So, it may be considerably more feasible to just directional bore a line outside the limits of traffic, parallel to the existing line, and then move the taps out in the parkway as opposed to out in the middle of the roadway. So, looking at different options, see what's the most feasible. Been doing patching, MFT, closing out the current MFT program, which ends at the end of this fiscal cycle. Patching activities have been going on along Plummer Boulevard. I did coordinate with the state. They're allowing us to do our material letting for concrete and extend that into the new fiscal year and just close out that contract. In the meantime, we'll be presenting a new maintenance resolution for 2021-2022 fiscal year to pick up, continued maintenance activities. So, I do have both of those summarized. Been coordinating with Shane and Barry Dees to get the village's wants and wishes associated with that. The first major project associated with that is going to be Oak Brook. And with Oak Brook, as we discussed before, we're going to do half a project last year, half a project this year, just because of the COVID, communications, delays in reviewing. We have the final plans in IDOT. Those will be approved shortly. What we will do is submit this maintenance resolution for the village to adopt, and that will pick up the Oak Brook improvements that are scheduled at $314,800 is our current engineer's estimate on that. We'll get that to IDOT. They'll review, approve that, and then we can put the project out to bid. So we're expecting that to happen early this summer and get that one moved along. It's been a long time coming.
And again, that's Peachtree to Acacia. Is that right?
Yes, Peachtree to Acacia, including the full intersection reconstruction of Peachtree and Acacia. So it's going to be the far sides of each leg of that that intersection.
Thank you.
So then the second one is going to be more of the day-to-day maintenance activities, to fulfill our long-term goals. So activities on that will be winter maintenance, which will be road salt, tree trimming and removal. I think we talked about it at the last meeting, maybe some trees that are keeping sidewalks, address some of that, and then tree trimming in advance of doing road work to clear out for maintenance vehicles. We will be doing a seal coat in conjunction with the township. Sidewalk and curbs, we'll have some repair items in there. Bituminous patching, we'll have some items in there. Roadside maintenance, replacing aggregate shoulders will be an item. Traffic control devices, street signs, signposts, those kind of activities will be in this. Grading and shaping ditch work, similar to what we did over at Spruce Gordon Drive, cleaning up some areas like that have had poor drainage in the past. PCC patching, and that will be materials only. So those will be the activities of the village street crew are doing now on Plummer. So we'll do another material letting for that. Get a contract or get a supplier to provide us concrete. We'll call concrete to continue those activities. We will have a PCC patching contract for more difficult areas for a contractor to bid out. That's village crews, simply too big for the village crews to handle. A little bit of pavement marking and some crack sealing. So those will be the main activities that we'll be looking for on the 2021-2022, and we're looking at a total of $275,000 that will come out of MFT for those activities for that year. So Other than that, that's all I have for this evening. Any questions?
Any questions? Jim, is that a report that you have typed up that you present to us? I'm just asking, is that something you can, if you did already, I didn't want you to have extra work, if that's something you could send to the whole board?
Report meaning?
All those items, if you already had it
Yes,
typed up.
this will come to you guys. Wanted to work out the final details with Shane.
Okay.
So I'll provide these to Pat tomorrow. And what will be is presented at the next board meeting for you guys to review, and then it'll be signed and then turned into IDOT.
Okay.
So you'll have opportunity to review this and then vote on that at your next meeting.
Okay.
You're working in conjunction with Shane.
Yes.
Okay.
Jim, I got a question. We've got a letter of credit for Cardinal Ridge that's sitting on old business.
Okay.
What does that need to be cleared?
Need to go out and do a final site inspection to make sure that any latent construction activities, haven't surfaced. Everything is final, completed, seeded, erosion control, so forth and so on. So talk to Pat. We'll take care of that this week.
Thank you.
Paul, the plan in 2 weeks is for the board to vote to accept that MFT project.
Mhm.
So you guys need to make a motion to move the MFT program to the final board for,
To the board meeting?
yeah.
All right. Do I have a motion? Motion by trustee Gerger. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Charles. Do you need a roll call or just a?
I thought apology, maybe? Apology would be nice. I moved.
Oh,
Seconded.
My goodness.
trustee
This
Detmers.
is awful.
Votes with apologies.
And he was quiet. You spoke.
I'm a no then.
We didn't even see your lips move, do we?
We have an ordinance, a resolution next
Is that
meeting.
all you need?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? Thank you, Jim.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Next up, Pat, you're up with the village manager update.
Just to cover a couple of items. I've got, we talked about that. The electric department's been working in Willow Glen. The water department's been doing the flushing. Both departments are hot on doing utility locates because the fire company is in town. So we have a couple of people working on those. A reminder that next month, the late fees and the shutoffs go back into effect. So we will put information together and get it out to the public on those steps.
How many people do we have located?
2 right now.
And is that including, so the current locator we have?
Current locator we have is on vacation. And so somebody from the electric department is locating the electric, and Eric Hansen that works here in the office has been helping the water department out and locating water.
Is that enough people? Because didn't IB3 say they usually did like teams of 2, like 7 teams of 2?
We don't have that many people to be able to do that. So we checked with Greg for private companies like that. We try to get there as quick as we can and get as much done. These guys have been really, really working hard to be able to stay in front of them. We've got no complaints from I3, so right now it seems to be working.
Is it moving along the original timeline that they came in and said starting in April? And
No, because they haven't even brought a boring machine in town yet. So we've been locating out ahead of them, and I don't think a machine has showed up yet to start boring. So
Can you remind me, would I3 pay Village Chatham for that?
no,
For
they
those
don't.
locating services, or that's done pro bono?
That's pro bono.
or is that part of that franchise fee to cover expenses like that?
We could say that.
I know that's part
You
of,
know,
is to
yeah.
recoup costs of using right away.
Yeah.
I didn't know if
The
that,
current locator is not here, and we have 2 people. Do they know what they're going to locate? I mean, they located before?
I would say one yes, and the other one just started this week.
I mean, Shane, are you comfortable with where we're at with locators?
Yeah.
Okay. Because it's my understanding, the current locator is going to retire, is that correct?
You seem to know more about it than I do.
Yeah, people reach out. I'm just asking.
So what do you want to tell us then?
No, my understanding is he filed retirement papers because we haven't communicated to them what our plan was.
Because
We haven't set a schedule of how they're going to locate.
so he decided to retire.
I think so. I think you guys are aware of it.
Until an employee got a text message yesterday that, and I don't know, and I asked Greg, I said, is that good enough to consider somebody has retired, a text message to a staff member, or,
I don't.
so that's why I was hesitant to say anything.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that we have enough people on this project.
We're on top of it.
Okay.
We've been working on union contracts with the operators, and also we've had discussions with the police, and we've been working on the budget. So that's it.
All right. Any other questions for Pat? Okay. Next up is an ordinance approving a text amendment to the zoning code making solar and wind farms a special use in district zoned P1.
The village does not have a zoning classification for solar farms or wind farms. If a business wanted to come into this community, we wouldn't have that zoning in place. The county does have that zoning in place. Since we have a 1.5 mile radius of our borders that we can control the zoning, I think it would be smart for the village to have at least something in place zoning wise, so that if someone wanted to come and put a solar farm either in our community or near our community, we would have some say in it. So next Monday night will be a public hearing, and what they're just simply asking is that the zoning for a solar farm or wind farm would go in a P1 with special use approval from the village board. And that's the only thing that they're facing. So we'll have that Thursday. Hopefully we'll get a good recommendation from that, and I'll bring that back to the board.
That's Monday.
Thursday or
I'm
Monday?
sorry, Monday.
Monday. Okay.
Usually they're on Thursday, but to meet the requirements for the public hearing, I had to move the meeting a couple days later to the 19th.
Okay. Any questions?
One thing I would add, I know it's an ordinance, but we don't always get there, is we could make sure we get a report from the zoning.
Oh, we will.
And then
Zoning has that written report that I like a lot.
Zoning does, yeah.
Yeah. That would be good. Okay, that's it. Any other questions or comments with the solar and wind farm item? All right. Next is the Public Property and Recreation Committee discussion. Trustee Detmers.
Yeah, we have not met since our last committee of the whole meeting. I was hoping that we might be able to get an update from Dustin on the grant process. My understanding was that we had to revise some of the language and resubmit. Do we know if that was resubmitted?
It was resubmitted.
Okay. And so we're just waiting now for the state to grant their blessing, and then at that point we can go out for bid. Is that right? On the bigger items.
Yes, if we get the okay for that, then yeah, we'll start putting together the bid packages right away.
Great.
Okay.
I think that's all I got.
That's it. All right. Thank you.
No, sorry. I have one more item.
Oh, no, no.
I didn't know about it. I didn't know about it until this evening. May I
Then we
please
want an
read?
apology. You
Yeah,
said.
I'd like to read. I always have that. Okay, so 1 second. I have a note from Rolo, and I was just hoping to read it. I respectfully request permission to stage the Chatham Friends of the Park 2021 Light Up the Park edition at Community Park. Opening night will be Friday, November 26th, with planned closing Sunday, December 26th. Excluding Thanksgiving, we'll operate each week, Thursday through Sunday, 6 to 9. If demand is there, we'll open up the entire week leading up to Christmas. This event has grown in popularity from the start. We're looking forward to providing an enjoyable experience for our guests as well as generating funds to enhance our parks. Setup will begin on or after November 1st and will be removed by January 16th, 2022, weather permitting. Thank you very much, Rolo.
I tell them be ready for the demand.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's grown every year, and obviously we appreciate all the work that the Friends of the Park are doing. And, personally, I asked the rest of the board to support this. So I guess we'll move this, if you guys approve, we'll move this to the next meeting.
Yeah,
If you want to make that motion, Trustee.
I'd love to.
Okay.
it'd be a resolution.
Is there a resolution? Okay.
All right. Do I have a second?
Second.
Provide the
Thank you,
extended
Sarah.
park hours.
Did you get that? Thank you. You're just on it.
Your resolution at the next meeting.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm officially done.
Are you sure?
I
Is
think
that
so.
your
I think
final
so.
answer?
I think I'm
One
done.
more thing.
All right. Next up, Utility Oversight Committee discussion. Trustee Gerger.
Well, it was just that, just a discussion. We did not have a quorum to meet, to discuss anything. So Dustin was nice enough to show up and answer some questions about the, we talked about the water, main and doing that. So it was good that Jim updated us tonight. But that was it. We didn't have a quorum. So we couldn't meet.
All right. Thank you. And then next up is a resolution authorizing a report regarding a new or improved water supply for the village. Trustee Gerger and I actually had the previous utility discussion, and I believe he updated this board at our last meeting that during that discussion, we had some concerns and issues and that we had come up with a resolution regarding those concerns and needing to look at all legal options. As you may recall, Steve, and I can't remember his last name, the plant manager at SSWC, attended this meeting recently, and we were all made aware of his personal opposition to chloramines and then our concern with that, as well as our concern that SSWC continually cannot provide the water, full water we need. And so we have this issue. This is a committee, so this resolution is for discussion. I'm happy to go over the different items of the whereas, if you would like, or not. I don't want to sit and bore everyone. It's right there. But I will point out a couple of items. One that I just referenced is that at a meeting at the Village Board of Trustees held on January 22nd, the SSWC plant manager appeared in person and stated his objections to operating based on approved plans passed by the SSWC governing authority. And I will jump down to whereas meeting minutes from a commission meeting dated January 22nd, 2019 reflect that the plant was to shift from a chlorine-based system to a chloramine-based system, and the conversion was estimated to take place the first week of February 2019. And whereas as of the date of this resolution, the plant still has not shifted to a chloramine-based system despite repeated requests from the village. The current system's inadequate capacity to meet the high demand of summer months has continued to be a concern to the village, which has not been adequately remedied by the commission. So what I've requested further on is that we give our village attorney 2 months to come up with a list of all legal options available to us, whether that be seeking a new water supply or somehow improving the operations out there. I know our village administration has continued to ask for reports from them and have not received it. So something needs to be done. We need to be proactive in looking what all our legal options are. And so I'd like to give the authority to our attorney to provide that list for this village board to know how we should effectively move forward in working with SSWC. Trustee Gerger, I don't know if you have.
Yeah, and then, the thought of the utility committee was to help give solutions, possible solutions for you to say, yes, that's legal, or no, that's not. We would sit down with you or have you come to one of those utility meetings and discuss those, what we think could be solutions, and then is it legal and how can we pursue it?
I have two things. I know, and I was there, I know Dave was there. Dan might have been there also. A few years ago, we had our legal counsel looking at the same exact thing, put together a list of issues, legal issues they thought were, that the commission was in violation of, were doing wrong. And we also had Holland and Knight do the same thing, a law firm out of Chicago.
About exiting the bonds.
But you're talking when I have, so just look. And so all these different legal things, I know we spent, upwards of 40,000 or more on that. And, my question is, how much more are we willing to spend? Because it was just beyond odds. It was various issues. And even, I think you weren't there. But I know Dave was. So
Trustee
they tried to do the same.
So we have,
I'm not done yet. You were done, I'm not. And we looked over all that, the report was, nothing was done wrong, they were not in violation, they met EPA requirements. Dave, if I'm saying anything that's not right, let me know or jump in, but I do know we have those two different legal bodies looking at those various legal issues at that time.
I do see this as similar because we're itemizing again. And what I'm wondering is if we itemize again, will it turn up anything different and what will the cost be?
so the solutions we're proposing haven't been proposed.
Yeah, for clarification, we actually attended those meetings. I remember it was a little over 4 years ago. Holland and Knight came to answer 3 questions. All 3 questions related to the bonds, and it was basically, was there a way to, that there was some mismanagement of the bonds? Was there, can you get out of the bonds? And the answer from Holland and Knight is the only way is to default on the bonds. And what you would open yourselves up to litigation by defaulting on the bonds. However,
It's not the advice we're seeking.
that's not the questions we're asking now. That was the limited scope that was provided to Holland and Knight at that time. We are looking beyond that with this request. Now, there has been a question on how much this report could cost, and I think that's a valid question. I don't know if, Greg, you can answer that.
Yeah, well, what I would want to do is meet with the utility committee to see what the scope of work would be before I provided an estimate. We provided at our current rates, and I would be able to provide that estimate. This resolution is pretty broad. I could bring it to the next meeting, but I would need to sit down with the utility oversight committee to see what they are looking for. What I can say is that Sorling and myself in particular have intimate knowledge about all of these contracts. We've been through them before personally and as a law firm, so we have a lot of that legwork done and all the ordinances put together. I mean, we have all the information,
So that we, privately discussing solutions, there are some legal solutions that could happen. Theoretically.
from Sorling.
Well, no, me and you have had.
Well, yeah, we can discuss that, but I would need to know what the.
Correct, so we'll give you the utility committee would give you the solutions to see, is this legal, before we pursue these solutions.
And then the other thing,
Talk those solutions with parties and get sued, we don't want that. We want to be able to be on good legal standing if we go to pursue something.
is this headed towards breach of contract? Is that what
No,
this is? I mean, because it looks like they're now holding up their end of the deal.
no, it's not. Well, breach of contract could be part of it at some point if they breach the contract, but I don't think they breach the contract.
Not to our knowledge, unless
There's
you.
other solutions out there.
Okay.
They just haven't been discussed publicly. And we would like to start looking at those solutions publicly because we can't get any cooperation from them.
Greg, since Brett brought it up, can you discuss those solutions that you guys have,
The solutions that he's.
or what you two have talked about, I guess, so the board's all aware of?
You are aware of them. CWLP sent you a letter.
Well, I wanted to hear from him since that's who you were talking to, so that's why
He's talking about
he doesn't even know what you're talking about.
for 2019. talking about.
That's one.
The one from 3 years ago, okay.
What I would want is I want to see what the scope of working with the solutions we're looking at are, those can be disclosed, and then we'll look at the viability of each of those. But I'm be prepared as soon as I sit down with the Utility Oversight Committee to present this board with an estimated amount of time that it would cost, and it would be at our standard rates that we charge to the village.
I understand.
Do you think, I guess, I was going to ask if you could give a range of an idea of what you thought a report like this could, based on the discussion tonight.
I don't want to be
Sure.
Sure. See here,
Okay.
I haven't seen the whole list of solutions, so I just, I don't want to give you something.
Sure.
that's
Okay.
not
No,
accurate.
that's fair.
You don't want to give it a Jim Michaels type estimate on.
Yeah, can you give us a Jim Michaels?
Less than 750,000.
We're going to hold you to that.
Because I think there, when we sat down, there was 4 ways that we could do things differently.
I mean, if we're talking about coming up with that and moving forward, I don't see that being that expensive. I mean, so as the way I see it is this board being proactive. If we are concerned about how that plan is being run and what our limited capability is to do something about it, I think we should, as a village board, look at those options and be proactive and do something. Or if your decision is, I think it's fine, don't want to do anything, leave it be, that's the other option.
The other thing I was thinking is it seems like a part of this is in the process of being resolved, the chloramines. Are they being tested right now? Did I hear that somewhere? Are we going to be tested?
They've been tested for years.
We were told last night that they are closed, but we've been told they were closed.
Okay.
In 19, when you go back 3 years ago, we were told it was 2 weeks away. Not like counting years.
Okay.
It's easy for me. Try to resolution. So we were told we were 2 weeks away 3 years ago.
And they just said 2 weeks again?
Well, they didn't, they wouldn't commit to 2 weeks.
No.
They just said soon.
Well, and beyond that, I want to point out, as of January 2021, the commission was placed on critical review status by the Illinois EPA. Systems on critical review must be evaluated for sufficient capacity before issuance of water main extension permits. So, part of the reason why that plant was built is so that we could grow and be in control of our destiny. Yet, here we are. They cannot consistently, over the last several years, have not been able to provide us water for a full month during our peak times. So, any other discussion on this resolution?
I'd like to see the list of proposed and the estimated cost.
Because our other option is to pursue those solutions or bring them forward to try to pursue without legal advice.
So do I have a motion to move this forward to the next utility subcommittee for our attorney to review those solutions and the cost?
I'll move.
Moved by Trustee Detmers.
Would it be a problem to have those discussions in this meeting instead of in the utility oversight? You seldom have a quorum in there. And that's why I thought if the whole board is going to make a decision on something, they ought to be able to hear all the discussions all the way along. So could we do it in this committee? If there's stuff that's attorney-client privilege, we could always take that into executive session.
It's up to you. I mean, the way I see it either way. I mean, it's just like we have things go through zoning, planning, the public property and rec committee discussion for things that are specific to an area to have that discussion and for that input to be moved up to the village board. But I'm okay either way.
Me too.
So the intention was, as this was written, was that it'd be reported to the utility committee and then reported to the next village board meeting.
I'm fine either way.
I'll leave it to you. It's
Dewey made a motion. I jumped in, so
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
we made a motion.
It'd be brought to you.
Yeah, this was to be brought to the utility committee, but unless you want to adjust your motion to the next village board.
I like the committees. I think that's what they're for. We should be using them the way that they were designed. So I'll stick with my original.
I'll second.
Okay, and a second by Trustee Gerger. So we'll stand as is, and Attorney Wardock will attend the next utility committee. All right, thank you. Next on the agenda is village manager qualifications.
With regard to that, I had to clarify some stuff with Mr. Wardock tonight, because the stuff I was finding was way more than I thought. So what I've been looking, it looks like, and again, these qualifications will be going in the future, nothing back. What I was finding is a lot of villages our size require a master's degree. And and it had a lot more qualifications. So I'm kind of trying to filter through those before I go to Mr. Funderburg and say, here's what I found. What do you think is reasonable for us?
Mm-hmm.
So I just finished that list, and I didn't have time to call him this week, unfortunately, but I will reach out to him because I think he will be a valuable asset in that process. So I don't want to bring anything forward without talking to him first.
Okay. Do you want to keep that?
I'll bring it forward for the whole board.
All right. Do you want?
Next committee of the whole.
Okay.
Should have everything to go.
We'll have that moved to the old business of the next committee of the whole.
We need a motion for that?
It's just no.
No?
You know,
Here it is.
Did it? That's
Yeah.
already there.
All right. Thank you. Next, transferring appropriation authority between line items and adopting supplemental appropriation. Pat, do you want to say anything on this?
Yeah, Sherry and Kayla have been working really hard on this. To be able to balance the budget out exactly at the end of the fiscal year, we have a couple times that we get to move things around. This, I think the last time that we did this, we had 2 sheets of items. We've got it down to 1 sheet this time, okay, which is good progress, but this is still not final. As bills come in and we look at things, we may have to do a little bit more moving, but this is pretty much projected of where we see deficits in some line items and had some money left over in others. So all of the funds right now that are getting moved would stay inside streets to streets, police to police, water to water, electric to electric. So the explanation is over on the right-hand side of those sheets.
I see one that I have a question on, Pat. It says, 7971435 says increase due to increase in telephone expense and their next charges or changes.
Charges.
My question is, why did, you don't look at a telephone carrier, what is the problem, or what is the increase due to telephone expense? Well, that should be something that, most do not have unlimited phone service like 99% of other groups do.
Our landline phones pretty much stay the same every single month. We have a few phones that still with Verizon at the substations. We have Comcast Business for the phone system internally, and we use AT&T for our work cell phones. And then we have a few, I think 4 or 5 Verizon cards that go in our, what do you call those things out in the field that sends the message back to the meter reading? Those network metering.
So what is the increase due to, those cards, or what is?
I don't know.
That's-
Office.
It's on 2 lines, actually.
Didn't have to do with our fiber as well, Pat, because we had some fiber expenses, I believe, between the buildings.
Yeah, in the long run is
It's not a lot of money, but still, you have a telephone expense increase, you kind of wonder.
the way that we had our internet running back and forth between all of the buildings here was just a straight Comcast internet post. And then we put a VPN on that, and that's how they communicated back and forth here. Comcast come in, they reviewed everything that we had and said that they could run a wide area network for us by using their Comcast lines and put it on a specific IP and bring all that stuff back. It'd be more secure and it'd be faster. Well, in the process of putting all that in, when we get a bill, they'd have some of the stuff in, but they didn't have all the stuff. Finally, last week, they got the last piece included here. We still have one extra modem that we're getting charged for that we're not going to use, and then that will go away, but it's currently connected up to our SCADA system, and we need the SCADA people from Bloomington to come down and be here when we switch it over to make sure that everything works properly. So we might have duplication of fees in this last bill that might have caused that to go over, but
So could we have an increase in credit card processing too? That's what it says at the end of that.
Yeah, it's actually shows up 3 times, guys. It's the first row for 500. It shows up there. It shows up on the second section in gray, the first one for 5,000, and then the third row for the third section. So it shows up
those are the ones that are
3 times.
fees that get spread out over the different departments. So that's why you see it in there 3 times.
Right.
I don't know, the companies that process our credit cards, there may be increased fees with it. And then since the year, we had a lot more people pay online now. There's a fee that's associated with that. We do not pass that on to the customer. That's included inside of the electric and the water rates.
Since we have that repeating, could you ask Sherry to look into that and respond to the board about that?
What do you want to know on it? More detail of what it was?
I think it was Matt's question. It sounds like it.
My concern is if you said that there's an extra modem that we're getting charged for, when is Bloomington coming down to change that out so we don't get charged for that? I mean, and I'm sure it's not a huge amount, but
It's not.
just the fact that we keep getting dinged and dinged and dinged.
They,
Like,
we just got the stuff switched over last week. So Comcast, I talked to the guy from Bloomington yesterday. He said, we'll try to get down sometime next week.
Because credit cards is on one and then bank charges is on the third one.
Yeah, it's.
I think on the electric and the water fund with more proliferation of the use of credit cards to pay bills over the last year, that's a big one. That discount charge
Right.
that comes anytime somebody processes payment with that'd be the most substantial portion of it. And I think when you talk, because the phone expense is split between parks, electric, and water,
It's probably $1,500,
it's
right?
like $1,500 in total, because you see 500 in the parks where there's no credit card processing fee. So more substantial. Sherry could probably clear that up though pretty
Yeah, I'll have her send an email out to everybody tomorrow explaining what the details are on that.
Okay.
And if you see any other ones, just send myself a note or her, and we'll try to explain it more.
Any other questions with the appropriations?
So they will monitor this through the end of the month and adjust on target to finish out through the end of the fiscal year. And then the final transfer and supplemental appropriation appears on the board agenda at the end of this month. Does that make sense?
Okay. Thanks.
All right. Thank you. Seeing no other questions with appropriations, do we have any public comments on village business? Or emailed in, Pat or Amy?
No.
No. Any public comments from the gallery? Seeing
Got one thing. Hey, everybody go by Gordon Drive and take a look at the community garden. They're really making good progress. They've got a big area there. It's impressive.
It's shocking how big it was. If you listen and remember what Will was talking about, and then you actually go see it.
Yeah.
you should go see it, cool.
It's very
I
cool.
love
Are there
that.
any cameras over there?
I can't tell you that.
If I'm hungry, I live right near there, so just.
Maybe not.
Tomato.
Yeah.
Tomato.
Yeah, we got early gourds coming up already, so
Yeah.
have at it.
If you go do that trick where it makes it appear that you're Brett.
Yeah.
Dewey, Peter.
I never
Rabbit.
want to do that trick again.
That's on record. Fantastic. All right. Anything else, John?
Nope.
Okay. Schedule meetings, committee of the whole, 6:15, Municipal Hall, May 11th, 2021. No reason for closed session for the committee of the whole. Do I have a motion to adjourn the committee of the whole?
I move.
So moved by Trustee Detmers,
Thank you.
second by Trustee Gerger. All in favor? Opposed? Ayes have it.
All right, I'll take a motion to reconvene the board meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Trustee Charles made a motion, second by
A second.
Trustee Gerger. Trustee Detmers.
Now you have to apologize.
So now it's just too easy. Trustee Detmers, second. All in favor?
Aye.
And then I would entertain a motion to move to executive session, closed session under personnel 2C1, collective negotiating 2C2, and litigation 2C11.
I'll make the motion.
And also setting the price for sale of public property to C2.
So top four.
Trustee Charles made a motion. Do I have a second?
Top four.
Is that Mount? Trustee Mount was second. Madam Clerk, would you take a roll?
Trustee Gerger.
Yes.
Trustee Mao.
Yes.
Trustee Detmer.
Yes.
Trustee Charo.
Yes.
Trustee Churchill.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, did you also say collective as
Yes.
well?
Yes, ma'am.
So it's all four.
Correct. Okay, and we do use this room to maintain our COVID protocols and distancing. So at this point, we would ask everybody that's not involved in our executive session to please leave the premise. There'll be no action taken after executive session.